We got the official Season 1 Reloaded patch notes, and here's everything that you need to know about it. If you find this video helpful, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe button. It says right here, global customization. They've adjusted geometry and appearance of the Gaia and the Gaia Black Cell to increase visibility, so that means it should be added back in your locker now. The familiar camo in the Poison Fog category will now appear as intended. Unobtainable calling cards are no longer displayed in the premium category. Equipped to all button from Battle Pass will now ensure customizations are applied in private match. Fixed an error that prevented the Endowment Direct Action Pack to be purchased. Resolved an issue which several camos failed to apply to the Holger 26 LMG. Resolved an issue in which users were unable to navigate through an operator's skins while using a controller. The fossilized weapon blueprint no longer displays inconsistent camo coverage. Several errors with blueprints have been resolved. The bone structure weapon blueprint for the DG58, the lethal expression weapon blueprint for the color block bundle, the blam blam weapon blueprint for the sketched out tracer pack, and the Empire Guardian blueprint from the Aztec Codex weapon bundle. Now for the multiplayer specific UI improvements, faction emblems are now displayed while viewing the scoreboard. Minor visual adjustments to the prestige animation in the aftermarket report. For the gunsmith, corrected inaccurate pros and cons displayed for several attachments. Revised several attachment descriptions to better reflect their true effect. Addressed multiple issues with equipping a conversion kit that resulted in incompatible attachment combinations. Resolved issues causing the player to be unexpectedly kicked back to the menu in multiple scenarios, such as viewing daily challenges, reporting a player in another group, or resetting to default settings. Completing a mastery camo challenge for the pickaxe melee will no longer cause the loadout menu to unexpectedly appear. The accessibility preset to enlarge text will now work as intended when option is set to largest. For the gameplay, spectating in third-person perspective is no longer allowed. In Control, Cutthroat, Search and Destroy, and War, inspecting dual-wield melee weapons will no longer cause one arm to remain still. Addressed an exploit that allowed weapons to be fired faster than intended while set to semi-auto fire type. Also did some audio updates. Teammates will no longer play enemy sound effects upon sliding and landing from a fall. Improved footstep audio for players walking on puddle surfaces. Resolved issues with audio during the infiltration sequence on multiple maps. Also did an update to spawns. Enemy remote turret Wilson HS chopper gunner kill streaks will now disable nearby spawn points. And for the progression, they fixed issues that prevented progression of several challenges, resolved the bug in which players would not receive prestige emblems, and then corrected unlock requirements displayed for several weapons and attachments. One shot, one kill score event is no longer awarded when an elimination is achieved with 2 handguns. Awarded missing mastery emblems for the MTZ 762 battle rifle. And they did some map updates. So Estate Kitchen Control capture point can no longer be contested from the main room. Derail fixed some exploits. High-rise garbage bins near the elevators will no longer open and obstruct the line of sight. Players in the active-base tunnel will no longer take damage from explosives on the surface above. Railings on the helipad staircase can now be mounted by players. Reworked hardpoint capture points, location sizes, and associated spawn points. And then the invasion, they also reworked hardpoint capture points the same way. And then Karachi, they did the same thing. Scrapyard, the same thing. Skid Row improved collision to prevent recon drone field upgrade from accessing unintended locations. Subbase addressed exploits that allow players to access unintended locations, and also reworked hardpoint. For terminal, they reworked hardpoint and did some out-of-map fixes. And then underpass, same exact thing. As well as for Operation Spearhead, players can no longer exit the playable area using a deployable cover near the police office. And for the modes, infected using a field upgrade will no longer cause it to become disabled for the remainder of the match. Deployable cover field upgrade will no longer fail to deploy upon attempted placement. And for S&D, sliding while planting or defusing a bomb site will now put the player into the crouch position rather than standing. Got some weapon balance changes. These are exclusive only to multiplayer. The SVA 545AR increased maximum damage from 29 to 30. The Holger 556 increased sprint to fire from 231 to 252. The DG56 decreased maximum damage range by 43%, decreased the medium damage range by 31%, so they got a big nerf. The FR 5.56 increased medium damage by 11%. For the MCW, got a lot of different changes. Increased sprint to fire by 10%, and then the long barrel for it, decreased the damage range, decreased bullet velocity, increased the sprint to fire, decreased hip fire spread, and the tactical stance spread penalty. And then for the Regal heavy stock, decreased gun kick control, decreased horizontal recoil control, decreased vertical recoil control, increased sprint speed penalty, increased tactical sprint speed, increased the sprint to fire speed. The Jack Raven kit increased arm multiplier from 1 to 1.1 and the hand damage multiplier from 1 to 1.1. The STB556 from MW2 increased maximum damage range, increased the near medium damage and the medium damage. The Cast-Off 762 also saw a buff, increased lower torso, leg damage, and foot damage. The Chimera increased near medium damage. The Tempest Razorback increased the maximum damage and the damage range as well as the lower torso. The FR Advancer increased maximum damage from 25 to 29 and decreased the maximum damage range. M16 decreased upper torso damage multiplier, decreased arm damage, decreased hand damage, and sprint to fire as well as ADS. So that got a big nerf for some reason. It's not like people really used it that much. And then the Cast-Off 762U, that got a buff where they increased the minimum damage from 19 to 22, increased the near medium damage as well as the actual medium damage. And then for the Cast-Off 545, increase the maximum damage, decrease the maximum damage range, and decrease the ADS time. And for the battle rifles, the Sidewinder decreased the recoil and gun kick while firing. So that sort of got a buff. The Lockman 762 increased the maximum damage from 44 to 52. Full auto fire type decreased upper torso damage, decreased lower torso, increased the arm damage, increased the hand damage, and the Cronin Squall increased maximum damage from 31 to 32. The FTAC Recon increased the lower torso damage multiplier from 1 to 1.3, decreased the ADS time from 270 to 250. The full auto fire type increased the lower torso damage, arm damage, hand, leg, and foot damage. The SO14 also got a buff, increased the maximum damage range from 41 to 46. But the full auto, they decreased the neck damage, decreased upper torso, increased the lower torso damage, increased arm, hand, leg, and foot damage. And then for the SMGs, the WSP Swarm increased maximum damage range from 4.6 to 6.6, which got a massive buff, increased the near medium damage range from 7.9 to 11.7 plus 48%. So this got a huge buff. Remember, this is only multiplayer. And then for the Rival 9, decreased horizontal recoil control. The Striker increased the maximum damage range, so that got a buff as well. And the Lockman Shroud increased maximum damage, near medium damage. They decreased the maximum damage range, decreased the headshot damage multiplier, the neck damage, upper torso, arm damage, and hand damage all have been decreased. The ISO 9 incompatible underbarrel attachments can no longer be equipped. For the Fennec 45, they increased max, leg, foot, aim down, or decreased the aim down sight, and then decreased the sprint to fire, but they also increased all that damage. And then for the Bass B, decreased the maximum damage range, increased the leg damage, increased the foot damage. Lockman Sub increased near medium damage, increased the lower torso damage, and then the MX9 increased the foot, upper leg, and decreased the ADS and sprint to fire. So most of the MW2 guns, as you're noticing from this pattern, are all getting different buffs. The Lockwood 680 increased sprint to fire time. They sawed off mod stock, decreased movement speed benefit, decreased the sprint to fire, aim down sight, recoil control, as well as hip fire spread. The Lockwood 300, the 12 gauge slug, decreased minimum damage from 75 to 57. The Maelstrom dual trigger got a nerf, decreased maximum damage range, decreased the near medium damage range. The Expedite 12 increased medium damage range, decreased the pellet spread. The Bryson 800 decreased sprint to fire, decreased ADS time. The Bryson 890 increased the rate of fire. For the LMGs, the Holger 26 increased minimum damage. The DG58 decreased the sprint to fire and decreased the ADS time. The Bruin MK9 incompatible underbarrels can no longer be equipped. The Sakin is increased lower torso damage and decreased the ADS time. The ACR56 decreased sprint to fire time and also decreased the ADS time. And for the marksman rifles, the DM56 increased sprint to fire time. MTZ Interceptor decreased head damage multiplier and neck damage. EBR14 decreased the sprint to fire and the ADS time. The Lockwood MK2 incompatible underbarrels can no longer be equipped. They also decreased the ADS and the hip fire. The Tempest Torrent increased the leg damage and foot damage. The Crossbow increased minimum damage from 100 to 125. The Bright Blaze 20 bolt increased maximum damage from 85 to 105. Increased the upper torso, lower torso, arm, hand, leg, and foot damage. LMS decreased sprint to fire and the ADS. For the snipers, the Cat, it's only the Zang barrel, decreased damage range and the bullet velocity. The KV inhibitor added medium damage at 129 to 61 meters, decreased minimum, maximum, and the near medium damage. The Victus XMR increased lower torso damage multiplier. The Karak 300 increased recoil speed by 100%. For the handguns, the jack velocity for the Renetti view will no longer be obstructed while aiming down the sight. The TYR increased the near medium damage range from 90 to 100, increased the minimum damage, decreased the near medium, increased the upper torso, decreased the lower torso damage multiplier, decreased an arm damage multiplier, decreased hand damage, the trigger action delay, and the incompatible attachment can no longer be equipped. And then there's also the trigger, decreased the trigger action delay from 70 to 60. Odin's Judgment trigger action decreased trigger from 210 to 150. And then the 9mm added far medium damage, increased maximum damage, near medium, medium damage, maximum damage range, near medium damage range, and medium damage range from 31 to 20. And then the launchers, the Storm Ender EMP effects will now disable and or destroy the following items: drill charge, smoke airdrop, inflatable decoy, and the swarm killstreak. For the attachments, the Corvus Torch underbarrel is now available to equip on many ARs. They resolved other issues with lasers and underbarrels. They also did an update to quite a couple different attachments. So you had the Razorhawk, the FSS Oli V laser, the F-Tag Grimline laser, the Verdant Hook Box laser, the 50 cal Spire Point rounds ammunition. Most of these all ended up seeing a slight nerf, not too big, couple percent. And then the XRK Nightfall suppressor got a big one, decreased the damage range, decreased bullet velocity, recoil control. They increased the ADS time speed penalty by 7% and increased sprint to fire penalty by 3%. So that saw the biggest nerf. For the perks, the Tac Mask is now immune to the EMP effects of the Storm Ender. Bone Conduction revised description to better reflect its existing effects. The Signal Jammer addressed an issue that prevented proper functionality while equipping with the Engineer Vest. And for the equipment, only one, and that was the Thermobaric Grenade. Increased the minimum explosive damage from 25 to 75, so that got a massive buff. Field Upgrade Trophy Systems, enemy cruise missile killstreak will no longer be targeted and destroyed. ACS addressed an issue that prevented objectives from being captured in hardcore game modes. Suppression Mine, visual effects are no longer activated for the player who deployed the mine. For killstreak, Sam Turn decreased the lock-on delay from 3 seconds to 2 seconds, increased the cooldown between the missiles, and adjusted the number of missiles required to destroy killstreaks. And for the remote turn, dying while attempting to control the turn will no longer prevent the player from controlling it upon subsequent attempts. Overwatch Hilo, 100 XP and 75 score are now rewarded upon destruction. EMP announcer voice line will now play upon enemy usage. The Swarm announcer voice line will also now play upon enemy usage. Now we go into the zombie section. So gameplay contracts, ether extraction. Players can now move immediately after successfully interacting with ether extractors. Eliminate bounty target addressed an issue that allowed HVTs to spawn inside of a locked mercenary. Field upgrades addressed an issue that prevented players from using field upgrades when wielding the dual Kodachis. General addressed an issue that allowed players to damage other players in Modern Warfare Zombies. Enemies, Terminus Outcomes, Sentry Turrets. Sentry Turrets are now EMP'd when shot by the Storm Ender. Allies, Zombie Hellhounds. Friendly Pet Hellhounds will now heal newly added squad members. Friendly Pet Hellhounds will now retain their name and level when traveling to the Dark Ether. And for the weapons, the Ram 7 addressed an issue that prevented players from equipping the base Ram 7 weapon in the insured slot. For the equipment, the Decoy Grenades increased Decoy Grenade duration from 6 to 8 seconds. The Symbol Monkey increased the Symbol Monkey duration from 8.5 to 10.5, and the monkey will now also attract Hellhounds. For the customization, Bone Collector Operator skin will now appear correctly in the Strike Team menu. The Slay Operator will also do the same. The UI Leave Squad players can now choose to leave their squad. And then the mission progress notification, players will now be notified of certain progression milestones when completing missions. Example, a mission step that requires a player to kill 50 enemies will now notify a player at 10, 20, 30, and 40 kills. And General addressed an issue that prevented players from being notified that they earned the House Cleaner calling card. And they also did stability, so added various crash and stability fixes. And now we jump into the Warzone side of things. The weapon balance changes are for the Holger 556, the maximum damage increased to 35 up from 32, so that got a buff. The M13B maximum damage reduced to 23, near medium damage reduced, minimum damage reduced. The MCW max damage increased to 28 from 24, near medium damage increase. The 16.5 MCW Cyclone long barrel damage range benefit reduced, velocity benefit reduced, hipfire and attack spread penalty reduced. So that attachment alone got a nerf, but the weapon got a buff. The RB Regal heavy stock gun kick benefit reduced by 11%. The horizontal and vertical benefit reduced. The mobility penalties increased and sprint to fire penalties increased. So that also saw a nerf. The battle rifle MTZ 762 maximum damage reduced, near medium damage reduced, and minimum damage reduced. So that saw a nerf. The LMGs, the Bruin Ruin MK9, max damage reduced and the minimum damage reduced, that saw a nerf. The DGLSW, max damage and minimum damage reduced. The Pull Me Out, the same exact thing, as well as the Tag Eradicator. That means the LMG meta has been nerfed. Jumping into the SMGs, the AMR9 saw a buff, maximum damage increased to 31 from 28, near medium damage increase, and the minimum damage increase. So that's probably going to be a meta weapon. ISO 9mm, max damage reduced, near medium damage reduced, mid damage reduced, and far mid damage reduced. The Rival 9, slight reduction in horizontal recoil. The MTZ Marauder stock fire aim stability benefit reduced by 5%. For the Striker 9, near medium damage increase and the minimum damage increase, so that saw a slight buff. And for the snipers, only the Zane 34 barrel was adjusted. The damage range benefit reduced by 9%, the velocity benefit reduced by 8%. And that's all the weapon balance changes, so that means none of the major weapons like the Ram 7, the MTZ Interceptor, or the WSP Swarm have been nerfed. They have stayed exactly the same. The next thing that we have are the attachment adjustments. Ammunition, 50 cal Spire round points, damage range benefit increased by 2%, velocity benefit reduced by 19%. The 0.4 gauge Dragon's Breath, near mid damage range reduced, mid damage range reduced, and the 12 gauge near mid damage reduced, as well as the mid damage reduced. For the laser, the SL Razorhawk laser, increased ADS speed benefit and the sprint to fire. The FSS OLED laser got a nerf, reduced the benefit by 2%, as well as the sprint to fire benefit. The F-Tag Grimline laser reduced the sprint to fire benefit. The Verdant Hook Box laser increased the sprint to fire. And for the Muzzle XRK Nightfall, damage range benefit reduced, velocity benefit reduced, recoil benefit, ADS penalty increase, and sprint to fire penalty increased by 3%. So that saw a slight nerf. And for the gameplay, the Champions Quest is now available in the Years Extend Battle Royale playlist. To earn the Champion Quest tokens, you need to win 30 games total within a season or 5 consecutive matches. Only one token can be held at a time. The previous mentioned steal mechanic will arrive in a later season. Details on how this will work and release alongside, so it's not going to be available right now. Deployable buy stations, you can loot underneath a deployable buy station, will be removed to prevent overlap. Black sites, we've updated the spawn behavior of black sites so that they're more focused towards the center of a circle. Zip lines, improve the ability to interact and attach to zip lines. Change interaction behavior to allow players to loot items on the ground near a zip line. Tracker grenade, fixed an issue with the tracker grenade incorrectly showing up as a snapshot grenade. Underwater rebreather, fixed an issue with the rebreather. Vehicle respawns, vehicles will now respawn after being destroyed. Covert X-Film weapon case, stay tuned for further details. They're not introducing them this update. For the perks, the EOD will now clamp damage to 120 down from 150. Fixed an issue preventing the health regeneration to occur after inserting an armor plate. For quick fix, kill streaks bomb drone increased the warning range for 14 meters. UI, the altitude arrow improvement. We made improvements to the way that altitude arrow appear above and below icons on the mini map. For the audio, they added audio occlusion improvements have been made to audio occlusion on Years Extend. Plain audio adjustments have been made to the audio on Infill, Exfil, Airplane. Music channels adjust to cinematic music so they're no longer entirely on the gameplay channels rather than Cin. Allied sounds reduce the volume of friendly slides, jumps, and lands to better distinguish between friendly and enemy teammates. And they have some other things planned in terms of improvements, with something planned for parachutes in an upcoming season. And then bug fixes, they did just a whole lot of bug fixes. I'll go ahead and take a screenshot of these, but there's just so many of them. This will make the video like 45 minutes long if I talked about all these. But this is everything that you need to know in regards to the brand new patch notes that we have. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Expect another video to go up later today to cover all the brand new content of this update. But it's been your boy Chizo, and hopefully I'll be seeing you guys back again. Peace.